Nupe is a commercial and bustling city known for trade and commerce. In this city lives a wealthy man named Chief Okafor. Chief Okafor's wife, Tade, experienced a delay in childbirth for 6 years after their marriage. This led Chief Okafor to marry a second wife, Lola, based on his family members' recommendation, believing that another wife might bear him children. 3 months after marrying Lola, she became pregnant. Remarkably, fortune smiled on Tade as well, and she too became pregnant around the same time. Both wives lived in the same mansion with Chief Okafor. However, Tade developed intense hatred for Lola, viewing her as a rival and a gold digger who came to reap where she did not sow. Despite this, Lola endured the hostility with patience while carrying her pregnancy. After 9 months, Tade went into labor, and an hour later, Lola also went into labor. They both gave birth to baby boys, with Lola's baby arriving an hour before Tade's baby. Chief Okafor was elated and threw a grand party to welcome his 2 sons. He named Tade's sons Jemani and Lola's sons Jerry. The rivalry between the 2 wives intensified as Tade made life miserable for Lola, calling her son a bastard and vowing that he would never inherit anything from Chief Okafor's empire. Chief Okafor's efforts to settle the rift between his wives proved futile. 3 years after the birth of Jemani and Jerry, Tade sought advice from her friend Franca on how to eliminate Lola and her son to secure her family's inheritance. Franca advised Tade to hire an assassin to make Lola and her son's death look like an accident, and Tade agreed. Tade paid a gang of hired killers and provided them with details of Lola's movements. On the planned day, Lola was driving back from a birthday party with her son when they were attacked by the assassins. Lola was shot, but sympathizers took her and her son to the hospital. Unfortunately, Lola did not survive it, though her son Jerry did, as the bullet only grazed his thigh. The tragic news quickly reached Chief Okafor, who immediately engaged security agents to investigate the incident. After a thorough investigation, one of the hired assassins was arrested and implicated Tade as the mastermind. Tade was arrested, found guilty by the court of law, and sentenced to death. This ended the lives of both Chief Okafor's wife, Lola, and Tade, leaving Chief Okafor to care for his 2 sons, Jemani and Jerry, alone. Chief Okafor decided not to marry again and employed a nanny along with other domestic staff to help care for his sons. Jemani and Jerry grew up with wisdom and knowledge, although they developed very different personalities. Jemani grew up to be a stern man who loved living an extravagant lifestyle. He enjoyed partying and often treated people of lower classes with disdain, believing that poverty was a result of laziness. Jemani saw no reason to help others or offer assistance to the less privileged. On the other hand, Jerry was compassionate and kind, living a balanced life with less focus on partying and more of his responsibilities. He often rendered help to the poor and even established an NGO to assist the less privileged. Chief Okafor was a donor to Jerry's NGO, supporting his son's efforts to make a positive impact on society. When Chief Okafor was 65 years old, his sons Jerry and Jemani were already 27. Chief Okafor began to worry about who would take care of his vast empire. Both sons were familiar with the company's operations, but Chief Okafor preferred Jerry to be in charge due to his passion, brilliance, and the fact that everyone loved him. However, Jemani was the older son, even though he was just 2 hours older than Jerry. This issue gave Chief Okafor sleepless nights. After much contemplation, he decided to create a competition between Jemani and Jerry to determine the rightful heir. On a fateful day, Chief Okafor called both sons for an important meeting with his lawyers present. Chief Okafor began, "You have both grown to be very smart and intelligent, and I am proud of you. But, as you know, I will be retiring soon, and one of you is expected to take over my empire. The question is, who will that be?" Jemani smiled confidently and interrupted. I believe we all know the answer to this question. I am the first son, and by right, I am the true heir to your empire. Really? His father asked. You are just less than 2 hours older than Jerry. If the heir to my empire is decided based on age, you both should have equal ownership. What do you mean? Am I not your first son? Jemani cut in. You are both my sons, and I love you equally, his father replied. I feel it would be unfair for anyone to inherit my empire based on age alone. I want you to show me that you are capable. What do you propose? Jemani asked. A very good question. Since you are both single and yet to be married, a popular quote says that behind every successful man, there is a woman, Chief Okafor explained. Are you trying to say we have to get married first? Jerry asked. Yes, Chief Okafor replied. Whoever gets married first will be the rightful heir to my empire. Jemani laughed heartily at his father's proposal, thinking it was an easy task. That is not a problem. I will bring you a wife before the end of the week, he boasted. Meanwhile, Jerry listened attentively to everything his father was saying. Jerry, don't you have anything to say? Chief Okafor asked. Jerry smiled and responded, Sir, I know I have a very wise father. If your empire is the prize, I am sure the task wouldn't be this easy. I am eagerly waiting for the terms and conditions. Chief Okafor smiled at Jerry's words and applauded his intelligence. He gestured to his lawyer, who gave each of them a document. The content stated that from now on, they would no longer have access to their father's wealth. A stipulated amount of money equivalent to a 3-month average salary of a security guard would be given to each of them to live on. How long it sustained them will be determined by how prudent they were. You have 1 year to bring home a woman who genuinely and truly loves you, even as a commoner, Chief Okafor continued. You have enough money to feed yourselves for months, and in that time, you should be able to get a job to sustain you for the whole year. Jerry smiled and signed the document and promised his father he would not disappoint him. He then stood up and left the room. Jemani, however, was sitting in rage. How do you expect me to find a wife in less than a year with these peanuts? What kind of house can this money afford? Not to mention sustenance for a year. Father, this is pure wickedness. Chief Okafor said firmly, I am not moved by your complaints. My mind is made up. Whoever returns first with a responsible wife within a year will be the heir to my empire. You both have 1 week to vacate my house and go in search of a responsible bride. Chief Okafor stood up and walked away. Jerry went inside his room and started thinking of a way to find a virtuous woman who would love him genuinely for his personality and not just for what he had. After contemplating for some hours, Jerry decided to go to a town far away from Nupe and pretend to be a crippled man walking on crutches. He reasoned that if any woman would have a crippled man, she would definitely be a very good wife. Meanwhile, Jemani was agitated by his father's words. He hated the poor and couldn't imagine himself living among them. Instead of thinking of ways to achieve the goal of finding a virtuous wife, Jemani began scheming ways to trick his father into giving him the inheritance regardless of the competition. Before the week lapsed, he tried several tactics to convince his father to change his mind. I am the rightful heir to your empire, father. Why are you trying to deny me my rights? He demanded. Chief Okafor, hot and angry, replied, My parents died when I was just a year old and left me with nothing. I built this empire with my blood and sweat. Despite the pain of losing your mothers at an early age, you should be grateful for where you are. Are you trying to say we must suffer because you suffered? Jemani retorted, You must learn to be grateful for what you have and what you are given. Bring me a virtuous woman for a wife and inherited my empire. Is that too difficult for you? Chief Okafor instructed his securities not to allow either son near his company or house. He also freezed all their accounts and access to properties until after a year, the duration he gave them to find a virtuous wife. With Jerry's generosity, it wasn't difficult for him to consult one of the people he had helped secure a job, a man named James. Jerry approached James, asking him to explain what poverty felt like. like. James smiled and said, "Boss, someone like you can never experience poverty. Your future is already secured, so you don't need a poverty mentality." "I'm serious, James," Jerry cut in. "Tell me about a village where there are good and kind people and where someone can keep a low profile." James thought for a while and then said, Idaje is a village 6 hours drive from here. The people are relatively kind and content. It should be a good place to keep a low profile." Jerry thanked James for his suggestion and went home to pack a few basic things, leaving behind his luxury clothes and items. He also went to the market to buy second-hand clothes that matched his low-profile persona. He then started his journey to the village of Idaje. Upon arriving, he changed into one of the used clothes he bought, found an old building to stay in, bought crutches, and began learning how to use them. After 2 weeks of practice, he mastered the use of crutches. He then moved into a small apartment not too far from the village market. He divided the money he had left into 2 parts, one for living expenses and the other for trading. The next day, Jerry scouted the entire village, especially the market. He discovered that Idaje was almost the opposite of what James had described. Many villagers were hostile and rude, with only a few being receptive. However, the village was filled with opportunities because its economy was booming. Jerry observed the market for a few weeks and decided to venture into the business of selling fruits and vegetables. He noticed that there was much profit in this venture and that it wouldn't be too difficult for him since he was posing as a crippled man. Jerry would wake up as early as 5 a.m. to visit fruits and vegetables farmer and buy produce cheaply from them. Then he would go to the market and display his goods. At first, his business didn't go well, but as people got to know Jerry and saw how kind-hearted he was, his business began to boom. Jerry was able to live off the business and even managed to save money as well. Meanwhile, Jemani, feeling helpless and unable to imagine living on the money his father had given him, cunningly borrowed a large sum from 3 of his father's staff members. With this money, he went to a big city called Jeddah, far from Nupe. Jeddah was well known for its lavish lifestyle and was home to the elites and prominent people. Jemani planned to mingle with the elites in Jeddah to upgrade his status and in the process find a wife to bring home. In Jeddah, Jemani mingled with the sons of rich men, partying and spending money extravagantly, believing they would aid him when his money ran out. Unfortunately for him, the elite crowd discarded him like waste paper once he could no longer afford to spend money. They called him a broke nigger. In less than a month, Jemani squandered all the money he had. Realizing he couldn't return to his father within such a short period without a success story and a wife, Jemani found himself in a dire situation. He had to figure out a way to survive in Jeddah without any financial support or connections. After squandering all his money, Jemani took a menial job as a bartender at a clubhouse. He managed to endure this job, although he wasn't used to living like a peasant. On a fateful day, he overheard 2 friends discussing a powerful herbalist who had given them a charm to make millions from a client. Curious and desperate to return to his affluent lifestyle, Jemani found a way to meet one of the men named Dejo. After exchanging pleasantries, Jemani narrated his fall from grace and pleaded with Dejo to take him to the spiritualist who helped them. Dejo agreed but warned Jemani not to tell anyone or he risked losing his life. Jemani agreed without hesitation. They planned to go that week. On the agreed day, they left the city very early in the morning, traveling over 8 hours to a remote village. They arrived at an old hut covered with red and white clothes and adorned with various scary statues. Inside, they met a scary-looking spiritualist in his 70s. As they entered, the old man greeted them, saying, "Welcome, son of man," and asked them to sit. The spiritualist then asked Dejo to excuse them. Jemani explained his desire to become rich and influential. The spiritualist looked straight into Jemani's eyes and said, "You don't need money rituals. What you need is patience, and you will be rich. I can see your background through your eyes. With patience and diligence, you will recover your glory. Wealth and affluence will follow." Jemani Jemani interrupted. It's like you don't understand my predicament without money. I can't get back to my position, and now I'm suffering. I'm not used to a poor life. If I don't get back to my affluent lifestyle, I might die or even commit suicide. So anything I need to do to be rich, I'm ready for it. Seeing his desperation, the spiritualist asked again, are you sure you want to do this? Jemani answered, yes, I am. The spiritualist said, I have 3 sure money ritual options for you to become rich. 1. You will have to use your manhood and sleep in a burial ground for 3 nights in a month. The dead will bring you money. 2. A concoction will be rubbed on your thigh, creating a big wound. You will only apply palm oil to the wound once a week, and you must sleep in a different room every night. The 3rd one, you will bring a young girl under the age of 25. This girl will be turned into a snake that you will always sleep with, and in return, it will bring you money. Before the spiritualist could finish, Jemani interrupted. The 3rd option is fine for me. Yes, the 3rd option. The spiritualist warned of other precautions, but Jemani insisted he was okay with it. The spiritualist gave Jemani a charm to hypnotize its victim. Jemani left the village and returned to the city, thinking of how he would find a suitable girl for his demonic purpose. He remembered a greedy lady he had dated when he first arrived in the city, named Ronke. Ronke had tricked Jemani several times, collecting huge sum of money from him. Jemani smiled and thought to himself, Ronke is perfect for this. At least, let her pay for the money she enjoyed. It didn't take long for Jemani to lure Ronke with the promise of money. Using the charm the spiritualist gave him, he hypnotized Ronke, and she sheepishly followed him to the spiritualist village. Jemani delivered Ronke to the spiritualist, who confirmed that she was suitable for the ritual. He then asked Jemani to return after 7 days for results. Guys, this is just the part 1 of the story. This story is very interesting, and this is just the beginning. Please stay glued for part 2, which will be coming up very soon. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and also drop a comment. Thank you. I will see you in another story. Till then, bye for now.